Hi, Rick.
Hi. Sorry, I was eating.
You're good. How's it going?
Pretty good. How are you?
Good. Just gonna plug my computer in. I don't know why it won't let me screen share. It says host won't let you screen share, but I am the host. So I don't.
You have to log in as Keller Williams.
Yeah, and I did. I'm in that one. I'm gonna go out and then come right back in. I don't know if it'll kick you out or not. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Here we go. Awesome.
Okay.
Hi, London. Nope. All right, we'll give it just like another minute or two, see who pops on. All right. I'm gonna grab my water real quick while we're waiting. I think there was a few other people that were potentially coming on. How's your week going, Rick?
Going okay.
Yeah.
Could be better, could be worse.
True. I feel that. Hi, Dee. And this will be like a little bit more interactive too. I have some like activities through here and then just like some reflective questions and things like that. It's meant more so to kind of help you like establish and like recognize what your goals are. We'll go over like a GPS and creating that and like time blocking a little bit. And then just like overall, oh my gosh, this thing is driving me crazy. I downloaded, I don't know how to make it stop. I downloaded McAfee. Is that how you say it? And I don't think I clicked all the boxes, and it keeps like, and like taking away whatever's on my screen and popping up to like finish the process. And it's, I don't even know how to fix it. It's driving me nuts. But all right, anywho, this might get taken away a couple times throughout the hour, so I'll bring it right back up. So we'll get started. So like I said, we're going to go over some like goal setting techniques, time blocking techniques, and things of that nature, and just talk about why goal setting is super important in your business and in your life. And then we're going to talk about mindset a little bit too, reflect on that a little bit, and why that is also important. So basically kind of what we're going to go through is like envisioning your big life and figuring out what your big why is, and then how to set goals, what are different characteristics of setting goals in general, and then what are the benefits of setting goals in your schedule and in your life, how to schedule them, and creating big habits, and then powerful questions and mindset. So your life and your why. So obviously everybody's why is going to be maybe somewhat the same, but very different because it'll be a lot more personal to you. A big why brings a big focus and big energy, and a little why brings a little focus and little energy. So the more, excuse me, the more important your why is to you in your life, the more it's going to motivate you to do the things that you want to do to reach the goals that you have set for yourself. And obviously, I think that it's fair to say that everyone in having a big why, it does motivate you to create bigger goals for that specific purpose as well. And that could be anything, you know, in terms of, hi, Samsung. I'm not sure who that is that came on. That could be anything, you know, like if you have kids and wanting to create a bigger life for them, if you want to be able to take care of your parents when they get a little bit older, if you just want to be able to afford to have a bachelor pad on the lake, whatever your big why is, whatever that goal is, it is very, very just like dependent on you and your life and what you find to be super important and motivating for yourself. In establishing a big life for you, realistically, you want to envision the way that you want your life to be and write down your 1 year, 5 year, and 10-year goals. And in doing this, you want them to be like very, very super specific in terms of what those look like to you. So rather than saying like, I want to make a lot of money, put like an actual dollar amount of what you want to make that year. Or rather than saying like, I want a big house, you know, put on there like, I want a 3,000 square foot house on Lake Road with a pool overlooking the lake. Or like if there's a certain kind of car that you want to drive, if there's a certain school you want your kid to be able to go to, if there's a certain area you want to live in, if there's a certain like weight that you want to be, if there's a certain thing you want to implement in your life generally, use numbers. Try to hone it down as much as you possibly can in terms of like detail, because it's way easier to be able to track over time. Obviously your big why, it supports your purpose and mission, and it's what gives you focus and keeps you motivated. And then your motivation, it's really stability. Oh, I don't know why that says that. Your motivation obviously is exactly connected. I mean, it's connected with your big why. You stay motivated when you have a reason to stay motivated, and it keeps you focused. And then just to kind of bring the MREA in here a little bit, obviously there are 9 ways that you could implement like thinking big in your life and in your schedule. So think think powered by a big why, think big goals and big models. I'm going to get kicked off here again. Oh my goodness. Here we go. Bringing it back. Does it like come off of your screen too? Yeah, cool. Think big goals and big models. So basically when you have big goals, you're going to have to implement bigger models into your systems to be able to maintain that big goal. Think possibilities. Don't give yourself like a ceiling of what you want to be doing. Think action, think without fear, think progress, think competitively and strategically, think standards, and think service. Coming from contribution, I think, is one of the biggest things, especially in real estate, kind of shifting your mindset to being in a position of service to other people and feeling that within the business that you're running, and kind of focusing on that as well. Here we go. Oh, I think maybe I skipped one. How to set goals. So when you are setting your goals, a few of you have actually been able to sit down with and do your GPS for the year and actually create like very tangible goals with you. The power behind big goals is really about the power of acquiring big habits by the beginning with the end in mind. So basically you want to look at what your end goal is, which is why it's really, really important to have like your big goals written out, and then being able to, from there, create smaller goals that'll support that big goal. It really helps in just kind of organizing, I think, in your head and on paper, what that's actually going to look like for you and your business and in your life in general. All of your goals should be tangible. So you should be able to actually be able to do them. They should be measurable. So they should have numbers attached to them. They should be very, very specific. Like I said, the more detail, the better. You should be able to track them, which is why in the coaching program, we have all of these different spreadsheets. We have about 3 different spreadsheets that agents use to be able to track over time what they're focusing on, because realistically, in business and in life, time is your biggest asset. And in terms of how you're using your time, that's a huge deal. I always say that you can be busy without being productive. If you're not managing your time well, we all can get super distracted with things that just come up in our business and in our lives. But making sure that you have like very, very tangible and trackable goals and that you're actively tracking them. You can have the spreadsheet, but if you're not actually using it, you can have like some kind of tracking system, but if you're not actually doing it, then it really is kind of a moot point. It's not going to benefit you 1, 3, 6 months down the road when you want to look back and see where you spent your time and where you're getting a return on your investment or your time, and not able to do that. And then your goals need to be realistic. Obviously, you want to have big goals, but make sure that they are attainable, because the last thing you want to do is set a goal that's way, way excessive, and something you're not sure that you could actually get to. And then when you reach the end, like say after your first year, and you're like, I want to sell $20 million my first year. Could you do that if you implemented like really big systems and big models? Maybe. But like realistically speaking, like in your first year of real estate or your second year of real estate, the likelihood of someone selling $20 million is probably pretty small. It has a lot to do also with like how much time you want to dedicate to it and what those goals actually are going to be. So just make sure that they're realistic so that you don't end up getting discouraged after that too. And then why is goal setting beneficial? So like I said before, tracking your progress is really, really huge. You can actively track your results to see how close you are to your smaller goals, which then also contributes to your larger goals. It helps you determine your return on investment, which like I said, I think your biggest asset is your time, which is why a lot of agents, once you get to a certain point, you could, when you're busy enough, a lot of agents end up like buying leads or doing different lead generation sources, but they also end up spending money on leverage. And the reason that you end up spending money on leverage is because your time is more important than money at that point, because you can't create more money if you're not scaling your business. So based on your return on different systems and tasks that you're doing daily, over time, you can see what's bringing in the most return for your business. It also allows you to be able to shift where it's needed. So even doing some kind of reflection or reassessment every, you know, 3, 6, 9, 12 months into your business, I recommend usually doing it quarterly, just because then you can kind of take a look at what your expenses are, where you might need to shift a little bit in terms of your schedule. If you need a time block, where you're spending your time and where you're getting the most return. So like, say maybe calling for sale by owners has turned into a super lucrative way for you to grow your business. Maybe focusing more on for sale by owners than paying for buyer leads. That might be more lucrative for you. But kind of being able to take a look, that's why it's super important to track your progress, because without understanding where all of your business is coming from and where your time is best spent, it's going to be difficult to shift when you need to shift to scale your business. It creates accountability. So it allows you to hold yourself accountable to the tasks. That's also another reason why I highly encourage like time blocking and also like spreadsheet tracking. Because if you're tracking how much of something you're doing when you have a very specific goal, you're going to know whether you're actually doing it or not doing it. You're going to be able to actively see if you yourself are deciding to like make those action items happen. And if they are or if they aren't, you're going to be able to hold yourself accountable based off of that. It also helps you create a a track record of what you're doing and what is actually working. And then you're also able to celebrate your wins, which is a really nice part of progress. Even if you're not necessarily like hitting your short-term goals, figuring out where you need to shift. But when you do hit those goals, it's so nice to be able to like celebrate that. And having even quarterly too, like once you kind of reassess where your business is at, see if you're hitting your goals, have like prizes for yourself. Have like something like some kind of benefit for reaching your goal. Like say, I don't know, you wanted to take like a weekend trip somewhere. Once you hit a certain goal or a certain number of something, book your trip and celebrate it. I think I would like to think that a lot of people would like something to look forward to. Our jobs can be very, very time consuming. And I think a lot of our clients end up taking up a lot of our time, sometimes through like late hours. So when you can celebrate even like the small wins in your business, that's really, really huge to be able to contribute to your mindset too. And kind of keep you going. It feels good. Feels good to feel like you're winning. Okay, so this is a sample of an agent schedule, and this is kind of why time blocking is so huge. I really am a huge fan of doing this. Initially, like in the coaching program, I had scheduled our group sessions at 10 a.m. But realistically, when you think about like the KW model and generation, that's supposed to happen between the hours of 9 and 11 a.m. So in my mind, I was like, why did I actually take from 10 to 11 2 times a week from these agents when realistically they should be working in their business, right? So that was something that I was able to kind of like shift with for them. But creating a time blocking schedule is super important because based off of, and we'll kind of go through like your GPS and that kind of thing, but based off of like what your GPS has as your big goal and then your supporting tasks to support that big goal, you can take those tasks and put like directly plug them into your schedule. That's the nice thing about making super tangible and like measurable goals is that you're able to take them and make them work with your schedule however it is that you need to. So the first thing when you're doing a time blocking schedule is you need to initially block out all of the non-negotiable times for yourself. So that would be like time for yourself, time for your family, vacations, anything that is like you're not going to end up changing for anything. And then based on what's left in your schedule time-wise, you'll need to incorporate what needs to happen daily or weekly, and then base it on priority and level of importance. So say you have like a morning routine that's very sacred to you, waking up at 6 o'clock in the morning and you have from 6 to 7 to get like a half-hour workout in, 10-minute meditation, make yourself breakfast, and read for 5 minutes. Perfect. Put that in right at the beginning of the day. Get ready, get prepared for the day, and then whatever it is that you can schedule work-wise, tangibly input those things last. And then you should also be tracking your progress and what you're doing each day, and obviously that's what brings results. And then creating just some kind of spreadsheet. A lot of the agents in the coaching program already have one, but creating some kind of spreadsheet or even having like an accountability partner is really, really helpful in terms of being able to track those as well. So we're going to do an activity. And I want you to get a piece of paper and write down a couple things. So the first thing is, what are the top 3 things that would most likely keep you from being successful? And then for each of those things, what would be one solution for each of those? So I'll give you like 2 minutes to write those down. And then in terms of your priority list, if you had to draw a line on your priority list of what absolutely needs to get done and what can wait, where would that line be? So just in terms of like tasks during your day, maybe just making like a short list of like the things that absolutely need to get done every day, and then the things that you would like to do every day, but if you don't get to it, isn't detrimental to your life or your schedule. And then from there, obviously we all know that sometimes people ask us to do things that might end up sacrificing or changing the schedule that we have set for ourselves. So what are, let's even say, write down 2 things that you can say or ask when someone's requesting for you to focus on something that's not aligned with your goals. How can you respond to that in a way that you feel good about? And then I do want to talk about these a little bit too, if anyone's brave enough to share, something that could keep you from being successful.
procrastination, that would definitely negative thinking, and then not having the knowledge about something.
Sorry, what was the first thing? I couldn't hear that.
The first thing I put was procrastinating would keep you successful.
Yep.
Negative thinking, I feel like that plays a big part in it.
Yep. Mindset's huge.
And then not having like the knowledge, because if you don't know, how can you be successful in it, So
Sure.
that was my, and then to counteract those for procrastination, I would say no hesitation. So as soon as you think of it, if it's able to be done, go ahead and knock it out.
Yep.
Negative thinking, just do positive thinking instead. I know it's easier said than done, but I think that it become a habit, especially when you're doing those things like spreadsheet tracking and stuff like that.
Yep.
And then not having the knowledge, I would say you could do more research or ask more questions.
Mm-hmm. And I think one of the biggest things too is like hands-on experience. Putting yourself in situations that you can learn from directly. Because I know a lot of people are just like very hands-on learners. Like someone were to just like talk at me, like giving me step-by-step directions on how to do something, I would probably be the most lost person on the planet. But like actually walking me through something or having me do it, I think it really, really helps too. But London, I think I would really agree. And that's why I wanted to incorporate mindset into this too today. Mindset is huge. And what is it like? I think it might be like a Dr. Seuss quote. It's like, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right.
Exactly.
Because everybody has these like perceived ceilings for themselves. But like when you really think about it, like, why not you?
I know, exactly. And I don't know if I just started paying attention to it or it just started happening, but literally anything that I think about, it happens, like good or bad. So I have been manifesting things lately.
Yep. It's like you just have to like keep in mind, like, I can do this, and like I deserve this. I work hard enough to deserve this.
We are capable.
I am yep. And you know what? I think that goes back to too, just making sure, like, I don't know if you guys have read the Miracle Morning.
No.
So it's basically, I think it's six or seven things that you can do in the morning to like set yourself up for a really great day. They wake up at like 5 or 5:30 in the morning or something, and that's not me. But like just generally, whatever time you wake up, incorporating those things, it's like spending time reading, physical activity, meditation or prayer, gratitude. So like being active, like actively feeling like you're receiving something that you want. I think a lot of people would maybe consider that like manifestation, which is a whole nother thing. But affirmations is on there too. And I think it's really, really important, especially if you're kind of like transitioning, or if you're feeling like, I don't want to say fear, but like fear or anxiety about like changes or implementing something into your schedule. Realistically, we just kind of need to keep in mind, like, if you're not nervous about it, it's probably not helping you grow.
Yes,
If it's not like giving you anxiety or worry in a way, it's probably not helping you grow. And so I think just having like that mindset of like having affirmations around. I know people that post affirmations everywhere, in their car, in their bathroom, on the mirror, on their nightstand, just basically to keep them like in the right headspace for being able to just like tackle the day and get through it. Because it is really, really easy to let ourselves get out of that mindset and worry about how to do things. Does anyone else want to share? What would you say are like 3 things goal-wise, professionally? What are 3 things that would like absolutely need to get done for you in your schedule on a daily basis, at least like Monday through Friday. Oh my gosh.
The things that make you money, I say that's definitely got to be one of the priorities.
Yep. Money making activities. Heck yeah. I feel that. And then what do you think is like a way to respond to someone, like, say you have your calls from 9 to 11 and someone asks you, hey, I need you for this appointment at 10 o'clock. What do you think is like a fair response, or like how would you handle that in your business?
Well, I think we should possibly say not at that time and kind of offer a different time.
Mm-hmm.
Do you
Absolutely.
think would that suffice?
Yep. And I definitely think too, so like considering anything in your life, whether it's like business or not, as an appointment for yourself. So like say you have dinner plans with your significant other from 5 to 6:30 or 5 to 7 and someone wants you to commit to doing something else. How easy is it to just say, you know what, I'm so sorry, I actually have an appointment at that time, but how about 4:30? Or how about 4 o'clock? Or I'm free at 5 o'clock, or I'm free at 4 o'clock and I'm free at 7:30. What works best for you? Because it's way easy to like respond to something that conflicts with something else in your schedule when you treat everything in your schedule as an important appointment, as opposed to differentiating it between like personal and professional. Because you're allowed to have appointments with yourself. Maybe you have a massage because you're like feeling real high strung and you need an hour to relax. You deserve that, right? The answer is yes.
Yes, we do.
You do. All right. I actually want to do something else before we hit this slide. I really want to kind of help you guys figure out like what your big why is and how it helps you in creating like why you're doing it, what it helps you with in your life. So if you have a piece of paper, I want you to draw a circle. And then I want you to draw 5 lines going out of the circle and then at the end of the other end of the lines, 5 rectangles that you can write inside of. And then in the 5 rectangles, I want you guys to list 5 different things, each one thing in each of the rectangles that you would like to be able to support in your life. And it could be people. It could be like smaller goals that you have over time. It could be something that you want in your life generally. And then considering those 5 things, I want you to think about what's like one thing that you would need to do or reach professionally to be able to support those 5 things. Whether that's like making a certain amount of money, closing a certain amount of transactions a year, hitting a certain sales amount, adding X amount of people to your team, creating a team. What's that one big thing that would help you support those 5 other things? Do you guys find this to be like a really easy activity, or do you feel like it's a little bit harder to kind of come up with these things?
I think it's pretty hard.
And it feels like it should be simple, right?
Yes, it sounded a lot easier than it actually was.
It's hard to come up with that one thing. But I think it's also too, so when I first started working with CJ, he talked a lot about like, what's your 1 year goal? Where do you want to be in 1 year? And I didn't know how to answer. Or like, where do you want to be in 5 years? I had no idea how I wanted to answer that question because there's so many possibilities of like where your life could go, right? So I feel like activities like this, sometimes it takes a little bit more like brain power because it's hard to actually like actively establish those things. But once you do, I think it gives you a lot of clarity around like, this is why I'm doing what I'm doing. This activity too, especially if you're like one big thing, like if your big why, your big goal is financial or like tangible in terms of a number, like with your business, this really helps you to be able to establish like what your overall goal is on your GPS. Rick, have you done a GPS this year?
No, I haven't done one. I've got a business plan. Is that the same thing?
Basically.
Then yeah, I've done it.
Probably just like maybe a slightly different format, but generally speaking, a GPS is just like a one-page business plan.
I've got 4 things on my list. Can't come
Yeah.
up with a fifth. Struggling on the fifth.
That's okay.
But I just see dollars, and I'm not sure if I was taught properly on this, but somebody always said your big why cannot be a dollar amount because that's not motivating enough for most people to, it's easy to lose focus when you're just focusing on dollars. But I have my list of 4 items, and all I see is dollar signs. I mean, it's pay off all my credit card debt. That's a dollar sign. Pay my kids' college tuition. That's a dollar sign. That's how I see everything. I just see different dollar amounts next to each item.
And I think that's fair for the goal. Like if all of your items, if all of your goals are related to dollar amounts, I think it's fair to be able to use a dollar amount for your big goal. Especially if that's what motivates you. Everybody's different in like what motivates you and like keeps you going. And if like seeing dollars is what like gets you going, why the heck not? And if someone else, like there's so many different reasons why people can stay motivated. Some can be like, I just really like helping people. Some can be, I want to create a business that's big enough that I can hand down to my kids.
It's kind of the pain versus pleasure for me. I'm not sure that a dollar, I'm looking at college tuition for 2 kids. I don't know what that's going to cost. Maybe $200,000 for 2 kids to go to school for 4 years.
Sure.
That doesn't sound super motivating to me, but it's the pain versus pleasure. I guess the alternative is I leave my kids with a boatload of student debt, and that's not. I guess that sounds more I don't know that I want to do that to my kids either. So it's that pain versus pleasure type of thing, right?
Yeah. I was at the gym this morning, and there was something on the news that said like, what's more important to you, time or money? And I was like, that's actually a super interesting topic for people, especially in this industry. Because I think initially people would agree that like money would be like the main motivator. But then what happens when you have the money and you don't have the time? Like, I think that's something that just like kind of shifts over time, because it's like, Rick, in your scenario where it's like you kind of see like dollars for all like these supporting things that you want to reach goal wise, like what happens though when you're working enough and you're making this money, but where are you sacrificing anywhere else in your life?
Right. Well, it's funny, the time versus money too. A client of mine just got upset with me today because we have a, I don't know if I would call it a messy deal or not, but my buyer and the seller are not seeing eye to eye, and we are delaying closing by 4 days.
Sure.
Seller got super upset, and I finally said, what's going to make your seller happy? You want me to reduce my commission by $300? And the listing agent said, sure. And my buyer got upset with me when I sent him the addendum to sign. Why are you giving him $300? I said, the time that I'm going back and forth on this, honestly, like if $300 just makes the phone stop ringing, like let's just, I'll call it a day. I'll eat that cost, right? Because my time is worth more than that $300.
Yep. Absolutely. And I think that's why at a certain point too, in terms of your business, leveraging your business is really, really lucrative as well. Because it not only allows you like more time for other things, it allows you more time to be able to like create more business. It gives you more time back in your professional world and potentially your personal world. So I guess just to kind of highlight like a few of these things, is there anything that you've kind of like thought of today that might change how you're going about like your goal setting? Like, is there anything that you would maybe implement in your schedule or in terms of like your goals? Do you think time blocking a little bit more could help you guys?
Yes, that could help me for sure.
Yeah. Are there any tools, models, or systems that you think might help if you implement them into your schedule or your business? I always like to bring this back to command. Do you think that if you guys were using command at like a super high level, it would create more time in your schedule?
Definitely would. I think for me, I think what I've got to figure out is those outside distractions that are not related to my business.
Mm-hmm.
Like when my buddies are texting me in the middle of the day and then I just go down that rabbit hole and all of a sudden it's an hour later and I didn't do anything productive. I think I need to recognize when Facebook is useful for my business and when it's BS, and when these text messages are useful for my business and when those are BS type of thing.
Yep.
Recognizing what's a distraction and what's productive.
I created a rule for myself. I actually stopped scrolling Facebook. I'll go on and I'll look at my notifications for anything that's like work related. Like if it's a birthday or a capper or anything like events coming up, anything I need to RSVP to, anything I need to post social media wise. But other than that, I will sometimes watch people's stories. But for the most part, even like before bed, I don't really do it anymore. I think also, and I know that this is something that you all probably are aware of, scrolling on social media really like decreases people's feelings of their quality of life, because everybody always shows like their best, right? Like everything's like super perfect. And I think that it has a tendency to make people feel more depressed. There's actually studies that have been done that show that. Because people are comparing.
Quick question about the time blocking. For me, it seems like, how do you time block without feeling sort of like a robot? Like every day is the same. I don't know how much I like that. I feel like it'll get boring so quick with every day being the same.
But you know what I usually recommend doing is write down like the 4 money making activities that you feel like you should do throughout the week. I did this with Rebecca the other day, actually. And so just for example, like she said that she has dedicated from 11 to 1 Monday through Friday for working in her business, right? So we came up with 4 items that she felt were the most important that she do on a regular basis, which were, if I remember correctly, it was organizing her database, working on like follow-up phone calls and prospecting, social media, and then her other types of marketing, whether it be like Facebook ads, creating video content, creating mail outs, anything like that. And so rather than scheduling, like I asked her, I was like, of these 4 things, would you rather do a half hour each day of each thing? Or would you rather do 3 days of one or of 3 days of 2 things and 2 days of the other? And figure out which 3 you need the most of and which 2 you need lesser of. And so we basically divided like 11 to 12, Monday, Wednesday, Friday was one task. 11 to 12, Tuesday, Thursday was one task. And then 12 to 1, Monday, Wednesday, Friday was another. And 12 to 1, Tuesday, Thursday was another. So like your Mondays and Tuesdays look completely different. You still have the same time blocked out, but your money-making activities are different.
Oh yeah, when you break it down, it is every day is different. Okay.
Mm-hmm. And we can set some time aside, London, too, to do that if you'd like to.
Okay.
Andy. But I think that's super helpful. And that's something that I try to do in my time blocking too. Other than making like phone calls that I have to make on a daily basis. In terms of like social media, if there's stuff for social media that I need to create, I'll time block like once a week to creating all of the content for the week. And then I'll save it in a Google folder, and then I have it available for when I want to post it. And it takes me 5 minutes instead of 30. And sometimes taking the time too to recognize, like, if you were to just take an hour once a week instead of doing it at that time, every time you want to get something done, it could really save you a lot of time. So like, for example, if you, what time is it? For example, if you want to create like a social media post for Wednesdays, and let's say it would just be like seller tips on Wednesdays, you can create all 5 at the same time. And like realistically, all you have to do is change the background, change the font, and then change the text. And just create all 5 at the same time. And then that way you have them done, and you don't have to worry about going back in every time you want to create something or post something. You just have them there, ready to go. So just kind of recognizing those things you can like bust out collectively instead of like separating it each time is really helpful in time blocking too. And then I want to talk a little bit about mindset too. One of my favorite bold laws is change your thinking, change your world, just because clearly our perception is our reality. And I think everybody's perception of things obviously is a little bit different just based on your life and your experiences. But I think that making sure that you're just like in a really good headspace professionally and personally is really, really important to like being able to contribute to your big why and staying motivated. And I think part of mindset is considering like growth mindset. So I'm curious what that kind of means to you guys, like in your business and in your life. I know for me, putting myself in uncomfortable situations on a regular basis That was something that I committed to myself last year that I was going to start doing. I actually, before I took the job as the productivity coach at our office, I had met CJ one time. I had never spoken in front of anybody ever, large group wise. And there was a panel that was being done in person pre-COVID. Probably it was in the winter before COVID hit last year. And I was so nervous. I think I like blacked out. There was like 50 people there. And I like didn't even remember anything that I said. I have no idea. I was so nervous. I just said words. And it was like a panel for new agents on everyone had a different topic of like how to grow your business. Super easy. Obviously something that I am very well versed in, but just like talking in front of people made me super nervous, people that I didn't know. But I had committed to myself that I was, oh, sorry, that was loud. I had committed to myself that I was going to do things that make me wildly uncomfortable, even if I feel like I'm going to pass away. So I did it and I committed and it was fine. You get through it every time you do. And then it gets more comfortable every time you do it. What do you think are some things that kind of hold you back in your business that you feel like you could grow through by doing it a little bit more frequently? No one? Bueller? All right. Well, we'll move on. We'll move on to coming from contribution. Basically, just coming from contribution, I think, is another really great mindset to have or to incorporate into your business. One of our top agents, Carly, I don't remember where she was talking the other day, but this was also, it was a big thing when we worked together previously. It's like when you do good business, the money will come. And I think it's super true. It's a really true notion. When you come from contribution and you're not super worried about the outcome, I think that it really helps change your perspective in a way that it's more like service oriented, as opposed to coming from lack, which I think is just overall like a very negative energy, for the lack of a better word. And I think that a lot of times when you're not necessarily coming from contribution, that energy is like felt and like people can feel that. Just like coming from you, it hinders relationships, it hinders growth. And so I think that coming from contribution and making sure that you're doing things for the right reason, especially to like help other people too, I think it's really super important. I don't know if anyone has anything to say about that.
Yeah, just to piggyback off what you said, I think anytime like your heart isn't in it, that's when you have that struggle or you feel like you forcing it a little bit. Like even with work shouldn't feel like work all the time. It just feel like you said, you helping people or something that you just want to do to contribute sometimes.
Yep. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, have you guys ever been in a situation where your heart wasn't in it and you didn't necessarily want to like leave or shift, but you just didn't feel like passionate about what you were doing anymore? And then you made the decision to leave and like a million great things happened after that?
Oh yeah, like a dead end job or something like that.
Or a relationship.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, it's kind of crazy. I feel like in your life, like when you stay stagnant, or like you don't necessarily follow that feeling of like not being passionate about the thing that you're doing, or like whatever relationship or situation you're in, I think that it like hinders opportunities to come to you. And I think that having that like open, like trusting that feeling and having that like openness to possibilities is really helpful when it comes to growth as well. Because a lot of those things are not going to come your way opportunity wise if you're if you're not feeling those like super positive feelings about it. And even if they do come your way, like I think it's hard to see it that way. Like I said before, like perception is reality. And a lot of times we don't necessarily see the things that are right in front of us if we're not in the right mindset too. And then clarity, mental clarity and focus, I think, is another really big thing in terms of mindset. I think that those two things contribute to your mindset, but I think it goes hand in hand. This kind of goes back to having like a morning routine. I highly, highly encourage you guys to read The Miracle Morning. It's a really, really easy read. And there's actually like this entire community on social media of people that follow this routine in the morning. But it's really just incorporating like self-care items first thing when you start your day. And it puts you in a really great headspace. Like, can you imagine how different your day is if you just like, say you wake up and you look at your phone and you have this client that's like maybe a little bit more on the difficult side, and they texted you from 11 to midnight last night asking you to see like 6 houses this morning, and you're like immediately stressed out, right? And I feel like that kind of just like carries through your day. Like the energy that you're feeling, like everything after that is going to be just kind of like frustrating, right?
Yeah.
But then think about like waking up, maybe even like a half hour early, stretching for 5 minutes, put on some like calm music or like something that gets you going in the morning, make your coffee, read for 5 minutes, maybe like do some meditation or prayer for 5 minutes, and then like do some gratitude, write down things that you want in your life like you already have them. And then start your day, then check your email. Like, do you think that that would make a difference in like your mindset?
Oh yeah.
It should.
It should.
Yeah.
I think it puts you in a way better position to be able to handle those stressful things when they come at you. And I think we all know that real estate can definitely be a very stress-inducing career. So being able to do those things and take time for yourself. Work-life balance has always been like a really, really important thing to me. And I know myself personally, like when I feel very off in terms of my balance, I don't function as well. And I think it's fair to say that that's probably a pretty common thing for people. Do you guys feel like you're able, if you're not like moving back to yourself, do you feel like you're able to have as positive of a mindset in work?
Definitely not.
Yeah, it's hard to come from contribution when you feel like you yourself are lacking. And I think, yeah. So what takeaways do you guys have? Is there anything that you would say you might be able to incorporate into your schedule that would be helpful for you? Or is there anything that you have questions about? Anything you want to chat about?
I think I'm gonna try to incorporate that command, use a command more, incorporate it into my business as much as I can.
Yeah. And we can work on that too. Did you find this helpful?
Yes.
Good. I'm glad. All right. Well, if anyone needs anything, I'm always happy to help. I think, I'm not sure who Samsung is. Thanks for joining everyone though. I appreciate you guys taking the time to hop on. And if there's ever anything I can do, obviously, to help your business, I'm happy to help. And I hope you guys have a really good rest of your day.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, guys.
Uh, Casey, that's Janice on the Samsung. I couldn't get it on the laptop, so I had to go that route. And then I couldn't find out how to. I kept trying to respond to you. I couldn't, so I said, "Oh, forget it."
That's
Okay.
okay. I appreciate you hopping on.
Yeah, I was trying on the other, like I said, and I couldn't. I was like, "Let me see if I can get this on the phone." See if I
Yeah.
can get through. And it went through, so I got to figure out why I couldn't get on the Zoom call on my laptop. So
Yeah. So
yeah.
weird.
Okay. All right. Well, look, you have a good day. Stay warm.
You too. Thanks so much for
Okay.
coming.
Oh, you're welcome. Have a good one. Bye
You
bye.
too. Bye.